Welcome to the Hump Day Hangout podcast by Semantic Mastery, where we answer your local SEO questions every week at 4 p.m. Eastern. I'm Adam Moody, and my partner at Semantic Mastery, Bradley Benner, will be sharing his decades of expertise based on not only helping others, but running his own agencies and businesses in the space. If you'd like to join us live on YouTube each week, just go to www.semanticmastery.com/HDHO at 4 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays. If you'd like to ask a question ahead of time, go to the same link, www.semanticmastery.com/HDHO at any time and submit it there. Don't forget, you can get the Semantic Mastery Local SEO Toolkit for free at the same URL. Okay, let's get going with this episode.
I think we're live, and it's just me for right now. I think the other guys are popping in, so y'all bear with me for a minute. What's up, Chris?
You.
Let's see. I got to get the YouTube URL. We're live, so just you guys.
All right. Sorry about that. Had some technical issues on my end, which involved not setting an alarm for once. Anyways, glad everyone else made it here and glad you're watching today. This is episode 581. If nobody said it yet, today's the 21st of January, 2026. And we are going to jump into questions after a couple of quick announcements. So first thing I wanted to point it out, as usual, is the Local Mastery newsletter. If you haven't checked this out, you can find out more about it at localmastery.semanticmastery.com. This is a weekly paid newsletter we put out that condenses a ton, like hours of information, into 5 to 7 actionable tips, along with action items that you can take. And you can either implement these yourself. If you're an agency owner, you could have one of your employees, your VAs do this. And honestly, if you just implement one of these, even a month, you're going to be coming out way ahead. A lot of great information in there. Check it out, localmastery.semanticmastery.com. And of course, we've also got 2 other things I want to mention as the mastermind. And I'm pulling up my notes because I lost the link for the other one and I'm losing my mind while I'm talking live, but I'll post it on the page. I want to let people know that there are some changes coming to the mastermind. We've been talking about that a little bit. Bradley, do you want to talk a little bit? I don't want to give away the goods before we kind of share with people, but do you want to tell people just a little bit about that?
Sure.
All right.
All right. So we're switching out, like we're completely redesigning our mastermind. There's 2 levels now, an entry level and a pro tier. Okay. The entry level is we are literally opening up our mastermind, our library of archives, SOPs, everything to entry level members, which is significantly less costly than what it was before. So we're literally opening up our vault of everything. And it's going to be like for less than the cost of a normal kind of school community type of a membership. So I'm not going to reveal the cost just yet unless Adam says it's okay.
Fair enough. Not yet.
Okay. All right. But it's way, way, way cheaper than it has been. And here's why, because we're shifting away from just doing kind of teaching, like the bulk of our audience have been entry level SEOs, people that want to develop marketing, like a marketing agency, local marketing agency, SEO services, et cetera, want to become kind of a consultant or an agency owner, et cetera. But it's entry level stuff. And honestly, the bulk of my revenue now comes from white label services. And I prefer selling SEO services to other SEOs over selling SEO services to tree care contractors. So part of the only reason I've kept Tree Care HQ running and working on it and building, continuing to grow it and developing processes for my own local marketing agency, et cetera, is all because the vast majority of Semantic Mastery's audience are in the local, are entry level peeps. But I actually prefer working with the more advanced SEOs that have more kind of, agencies with larger kind of stable, larger group of clients, et cetera, higher number of clients. And that's where the bulk of my revenue comes from now. Like 3 times as much revenue comes from my white label services than they do my local marketing agency. And that's because I've put more focus on that. Anyway, long story short, I'm not shutting down Tree Care HQ. I've got clients that I have to manage and maintain. And I just, no shit, because of my directories process and pipeline full of leads that I've been nurturing now for years, I'm still closing sales for tree care contractors. I closed 2 new clients this week, and I'm probably closing another one on Friday or Monday. He's just waiting on some additional follow-up information from me that I haven't had a chance to get to yet. I talked to him again today. So I'm still selling and closing tree care clients, but I'm not actively trying to grow it. But that's what happens when you have a pipeline full of leads, like I've been teaching for years, is that even though now I'm literally not attempting to try to close new tree service clients, I'm still closing clients because I'm still getting clients that have been on my nurture sequence and getting my newsletter emails, et cetera, for months. And so they're calling now because it's winter, and that's typically when I will make some sales during the winter, because tree guys typically will have time to kind of analyze the previous year and make plans for the next year. And that's usually when they're a little bit more receptive to making decisions about, increasing their marketing. So I expect I'm going to continue to close sales for tree care contractors, and I'm not shutting it down. I'm just shifting my focus to kind of supporting agencies and developing products and services that will help support agencies that already have a number of clients. So doing SEO and marketing services at a higher scale than the individual tactics that we have been teaching. And I made that decision because I have spread myself too thin across trying to do too many things across too many companies. And it's taking every time I take time away from my most highest profit or revenue generating business, which is semantic links, to devote towards my local marketing agency and everything else, that is literally taking, like, I'm walking over the dollars to get to the dimes. You know what I'm saying? And so I just made the decision over the holiday between Thanksgiving and New Year's. I spent a lot of time thinking about it and praying about it and everything else. And what I determined was, I don't want to do it. I want to focus. I want to simplify my business model so that I can grow the shit out of it. And so what we're planning on doing, and that's why we're opening up the mastermind, and all of our past archives, our training library, SOPs, everything is now the entry-level tier. Understand that, guys? So instead of paying $300 a month, it is significantly less than that. And so it's going to open up that for everybody. It will make it accessible to anybody, even if you are just starting out, okay? And so we're going to keep our Thursday webinars every Thursday. For several years now, I've done alternating webinars on Thursday, to where every other week it's an actual webinar where I do training. And then the other weeks are what's called the Build with Bradley meeting, which is a meeting. I discuss, just like we are on right now, Chris, Adam, and I, and we have discussions, and sometimes it's training, but most of the times it's discussions, et cetera. So we are now normalizing the Thursday webinar is going to be just the mastermind webinar, but it's every Thursday now. So from 3:30 p.m. till 5 p.m. on Thursday, every Thursday Eastern time, that is now going to be the mastermind webinar, which will entry-level members will have access to every Thursday mastermind, all the archives, all the SOPs, the discussion communities, everything. But now the pro tier, that's where I'm now opening up. We just started it this week. So Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I'm doing office hours, just like I've done for the DHA coaching program. And I see the value of that. And so on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I'm doing an hour and a half, 90 minutes, where I'm in a Google Meet, and any member of the pro tier, right now, anybody in the mastermind can join it this week. Next week, it'll just be pro, or maybe the following week. In the next 2 weeks, it's going to be only available for pro tier members. But so it's 90 minutes. On Tuesdays, it's 3:30 to 5 p.m. Eastern. On Wednesdays, it's 1:30 to 3 p.m. Eastern. So 2 days a week, I'm available for all mastermind members that are on the pro tier to come join, to pop in. And I'll answer any questions you have. I'll provide specific support. I'll look at your own clients' campaigns and kind of help you through things. I'll answer any sort of questions that you have. Sometimes I'll do training. So like yesterday and today, actually, there was a significant part of the office hours where I did training at the request of some of our members. So the whole point is I'm trying to give more access to our higher level members, which, by the way, our pro tier is cost less now than what our mastermind has cost for the last however many years we've kept that price. So like, we've lowered our prices entirely. The entry level, now we're opening up our mastermind for everybody, anybody at all that joins the entry level, which again, it's a fraction of what it has been. So you're getting full access to everything that everybody else has been paying $300 a month for, or $600 a month for a quarter, which was basically buy two, get one free. All members are going to get access to that for a fraction of that. And if you want to join the pro tier, all that does is you get everything in the entry level tier, but then you also, on top of that, get 3 hours with me every single week. If you want to, you can join every day, every Tuesday and Wednesday, and just attend, or you can pop in when you need it. In any case, I will be there available for 3 hours per week of my time, that I'm available for any support, any questions, any help, campaign audits, anything that anybody wants in the mastermind. And it's less costly than our mastermind has been. So that's it. I'm really excited about it, guys. The whole purpose of this is because we really want to support our kind of higher level members that are running agencies. And that's really what I want to focus my attention on. And I think this is going to make it more accessible. Certainly we'll be providing support for the things that I'm doing in my own agencies. Like I talked about this yesterday, somebody was asking on the call about like, how do I determine what type of things I want to develop using AI? And I said, well, specifically for Semantic Links, which is a white label agency, I'm developing services to kind of help streamline operations for my own agency. But when I go to try to determine what to prioritize, instead of just doing it for selfish reasons, meaning like these are the things that I want to automate my own agency, I look at what are the things that I can automate or develop AI solutions for that would also be attractive to other agencies. And I want to prioritize those so that, yes, it will improve my business, but then I can also teach about it in the mastermind or provide done for you services or a hybrid where there's training, but also consulting support so that I can help any agency that wants to integrate those same sort of AI systems into their agency will have the training, but if they need the support, I'll be available for it. And that's, again, part of the reason why we have the office hours sessions now is because I want to be able to provide training to our agency owners. And then anytime that they have questions or need support implementing the training, that's what I'm going to be available for. And so it's basically like buying consulting time from me, but doing it, 3 hours a week, 4 weeks a month. So that's 12 hours of consulting time that people are getting for literally pennies, essentially. So
definitely. Yeah. So I wanted to say, like Bradley said, this allows, if you're an agency owner, you really want that one-on-one, you have questions regularly, things like that, that allows you access. If you're just getting started, now you can, get the bulk of everything out of the mastermind, excuse me, while still, paying a price that anyone, freelancer, consultant, somebody just getting started out can afford. So I think this is going to really appeal to people. And if you're not already on the email list or at least following us on YouTube or Facebook, you definitely want to do that. We'll have more coming out over the coming weeks about how to jump into this. And we're going to be having a little bit of a fun launch with it. Definitely have a bonus, something good for people that take advantage in the first week or so that won't be available for everyone else. So
that's right.
With that, just wanted to say too, the local SEO or the local ops blueprint, we get a lot of questions from people. One of them, I think that's really interesting. I think we even had it last week. Somebody was like, hey, I really want to buy your done for you services through Semantic Links. Do you think I should, also check out, and I can't remember if it was local ops or the mastermind. And, of course, Bradley's answer is yes, you should understand what you're doing. But also like you should understand how to apply the white label products that you're purchasing, because these are the exact same things that Bradley uses. That's why he developed them, because he uses them. And the local ops SEO blueprint will really help you understand and get the foundation there. So if you're interested in that as kind of a background, it's not just if you want to apply done for you services, it's not the takeaway, but if you want to understand how all of this works, how Bradley approaches this type of stuff, then highly recommend checking it out. And also if you're looking at done for you services, but want to, make sure you understand exactly what's going on behind the scenes, check out local ops. It's localops.semanticmastery.com.
Yeah.
Cool.
Or come join the mastermind.
Yeah, definitely.
One of the two. So right on. Well, thanks, Adam. Yeah. And guys, I had a couple of members of the mastermind that are more entry-level type folks that are paying what we had been charging for years. We hadn't changed our price. And we're lowering our prices now. We want to create more accessibility for a more affordable price. And so we've had a couple of members that have reached out and asked, well, does this mean like you're not going to be teaching local marketing tactics anymore? And no, that's not it at all. I'm a white label local marketing services provider. So I still have to work on things that are effective and produce results, because I can't sell services to agencies if they're not effective. But instead of me getting down into the weeds at the local, GMB level, and looking at individual marketing tactics, I'm looking at the highest leverage kind of tactics and services that I can produce for agencies with scale, right? In other words, meaning agencies that have many clients instead of only one or two. You understand? When we're applying SEO strategies and you only have one or two clients, you'll bend over backwards and do all kinds of stuff because you have the time to do so, right? Your attention isn't spread across dozens of clients. It's easy to put more effort into one or two clients when you don't have many clients. But we're talking about agencies, again, where the money is as for my businesses, are coming from agencies that have dozens of clients, right? And so when you're operating at scale, you can't operate the same as you do when you only have one or two clients. You have to systematize, you have to productize, you have to work on the tactics that have the highest leverage, that are, in other words, produce the best results at scale. Typically, like, again, there's always going to be edge cases where you need to kind of invest more time and attention in order to overcome issues, etc. But where if you really want to make a profitable business in this industry, you have to productize and systematize your services and systematize your business so that you can deliver at scale. And that's precisely what I'm trying to do, is develop more services that will help agencies still produce results for their clients, but at a higher scale than individual marketing tactics do. And so, just to be clear, I'm still going to be teaching about local marketing things and stuff, but not like, for the onesies and twosies out there that only have one or two clients. I'm sorry, you can still ask questions on Hump Day Hangouts. That's what we're here for. We've been here doing that for over 11 years. We're not going anywhere. But just my focus is going to shift away from individual kind of like single tactics to those that are duplicatable across a larger set of clients. So, and again, thinking about, instead of looking at individual hacks that might create marginal gains, I'm looking at what are the biggest things that we can, the actions that we can take that will move the needle significantly across almost like the vast majority of cases, is what I'm saying. Again, there's always going to be edge cases where things requires more or additional attention. And that's fine too, because agencies that occasionally, all agencies are going to come across clients that have challenges that need to be overcome. And so again, being in the mastermind with the office hours, is precisely when those type of challenges can be brought to me for advice or for guidance. And I'm not saying I know the answer to all of them, because there's always new things that pop up that I even haven't experienced. But I've been doing this long enough that I probably have experienced a lot of those things that would be brought to my attention, if that's clear. So that's precisely what I'm trying to do. And just to be clear, like any of the other, entry level, you're not restricted from joining the higher level, the pro tier level. If you're just an entry level person, I'm just saying, like, that's it. I had another other members of the group say, well, I'm not sure that I'm at the pro tier level yet. Well, look, you'll make that decision. That's up to you. If you want to spend the money, it's available to you. The only time that I will ask somebody to remove themselves from the pro tier member is if it's a newbie, a greenie, whatever you want to call them, that comes into the office hour sessions and monopolizes the sessions with entry level questions. That's not what this is for. This, again, I'm not saying you can't come in and ask entry level questions, but it needs to be, we need to be fair to the other members, and if that's clear. And so, by the way, entry level questions, that's precisely what Hump Day Hangouts is for. And I'm still going to be doing the Thursday webinars every single Thursday. So for entry level members, they're still going to have access to me every single week on Thursday for an hour and a half, if that's clear. It's just in a group webinar setting versus a meeting setting, which is a lot more intimate, personal, etc. So anyway,
Awesome.
Hopefully that's clear.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's jump into questions.
All right, guys. There's only a handful of questions, and that's good, because if we can wrap up early, of course I say that almost every week, you never wrap up early, but we only got a handful of questions. So if there's any comments that anybody wants to put in the box too, feel free to do so. I'm going to grab the screen and let's get into it. Not too many questions, so
cool.
There's like this notification from Meet every time it moves into like that pop-up window, and I don't know how to turn that notification sound off. It's driving me nuts. Also, I upgraded to Gemini Enterprise, and I'm almost regretting it, because there's like, it's unbelievable. I did a bunch of research after our office hours call today, because I'm not able to share Google Slides that I created with Notebook LM. And I come to find out why. It's like there's no, you cannot share Notebook LM if you're on an enterprise account, it's fucking nuts. It won't allow you to share it, period, anywhere. Like nobody outside of the organization can share it. I can't even share it with myself as the administrator of the organization. It doesn't even make any sense. And I submitted a long support complaint to Google about it, because like, what the fuck? I upgraded Google to the highest level accounts, Workspace and Gemini, and it actually restricts my ability to use their tools. It's unfucking believable. I'm so irritated about it, because I made this switch and I've transferred everything into those accounts. to come to find out there's permission level issues that are unresolvable right now. And oh my God, I'm furious about it. So much wasted time. Anyway, I'll stop complaining. I'm just mad about it because it's fresh. By the way, I'll show you. This is what I'm talking about. I'm in Notebook LM right here. And we were doing this session here for the office hour session today. And I generated this slide deck here from this. I was talking about how I do market analysis and opportunity research. And then once I have that, then I use Notebook LM to then help start to develop the marketing campaign, et cetera. And I was going through that whole process, talking about that today. And it created this amazing slide deck from the data, from the process that I was, and this was, again, the example local business type that I was talking, that one of our members said, like, because I asked, somebody give me a local business type, and we'll go through this whole process for that industry, whatever it is. And somebody said local auto repair shops in the US. And so we went through this whole long process yesterday, and then today we revisited it so we could go a little bit deeper into it. And I was talking about this. And so look at this fucking slide deck. It's amazing, but I can't share it. I can't even share it with myself. There's no save button. There's no way to copy it. It says you have to enable anyone with the link to share it. And then I went through Gemini Enterprise Chat to find out that there is no option to share in enterprise accounts, which is bullshit. What is the purpose of being able to create this sort of these kind of these resources if you can't share them? Like, what is the fucking purpose? It makes no sense to me whatsoever. So anyway, I'm furious about that, man, because I just upgraded all my account, everything, and just, oh my God. Anyway, sorry, I had to vent. All right, we're gonna get into questions. There's not many, so I think we'll go through this. And if there's not many comments today, we're gonna wrap up early because I got a ton of work to catch up on. This one was from Wendy. I'm gonna skip the YouTube comment for now. We might come back to it. Wendy says, for your agents to follow up with directory verification email replies to push them to book a call, is it entirely, let's see, for your agent that follows up with directory verification email replies to push them to book a call, is it entirely within GHL agents plus automations? Yes. Well, we have a, God damn it, what's it called? Assistable, I think is what it's called. Hold on a minute. Assistable voice, I think it is. Right here. Okay, so this is at the time that we start, I'm not sure if GHL has outbound voice yet or not. I know it was on their roadmap, but I don't know if they have. I don't know if that's available yet. But when we started developing, well, to be clear, is two and a half. It was like 2 or 2.5 years ago when I hired. God, what's up with that stupid? Look at that. It's ridiculous. I don't know what it's doing. Anyway, about 2 or 2.5 years ago when I started. That process that we use for booking the call, what I call the listing delivery automation or process, which is a whole sequence of SMS, emails, and voice outbound voice calls. If they don't respond to email and SMS, then we also do outbound voice calls, but it's all done via AI voice agents. And so 2.5 or 3 years ago, when I started developing that process, I hired a third-party AI development company to custom develop that for me. And so they did that within their own. They had their own code, their own servers, their own kind of ecosystem and everything that they built. And so I used them for probably about 2 years. And in about, what was in November? In November is when I canceled services with them because I have now my own AI, like internal team, development team. They're a contracted team, but they're, anyways, long story short, I've got my own AI dev team now. Okay. Just to be clear. Okay. And so I said, you know what? I'm paying this other company a ton of money on retainer every month, and they're not even building anything new. They were just maintaining the voice AI agent that they had created. And so I said, this is ridiculous. I can reduce my costs significantly by bringing this in-house, and in my own in-house AI dev team, which I'm paying them the same retainer I was paying the other company, but now I have them constantly developing new things for me, solutions for my agencies, et cetera. So to be clear, when I started, back in, I think it was in October when I started my own AI dev team on redeveloping what the external company had been doing. So I gave them, I was paying both for about a month so that I could get them to go look at the workflows that the other company had created within High Level and then recreate those, but using High Level's AI voice assistant for inbound calls. But we had to, at the time that we started this, outbound voice wasn't available in GHL. And I don't know if it is right now or not. I know that it was on the roadmap to be available, but I'm not sure if it's available yet. So anyways, we had to integrate assistable AI as our outbound voice agent. So we have, we're using High Level for once the cold email reply comes in from the directory outreach process. So when we get a positive reply from a contact that we've sent a cold email to, and that positive reply, there's a sentiment analysis and instantly, which determines when a reply comes in. If it's positive or neutral, it triggers a webhook that then creates the contact in GHL and creates the opportunity card, which automatically adds them into, well, it sends, it puts them into that sequence, which is the automation sequence that acknowledges their reply. And then we go through a whole kind of sequence of SMS and, well, emails and SMSs that ask additional questions of the contractor, like, hey, you know, is this the best number to reach you if we have additional information, or if we need additional information while we're optimizing your listing? And then they reply back. And then we, you know, I don't know, 15 minutes later or whatever it is, whatever the time wait step is, it then replies back to them and says, oh yeah, by the way, how far out do you go to get jobs? Like, you know, what is your sales territory? Just reply back with the number of miles, like 10 miles, 15 miles, 20 miles, whatever it is. And so, and again, that goes out via email, SMS. And if they don't respond to either email or SMS, then a voice call goes out. All of that is done via, it's all done via GHL, but we have an assistable AI outbound voice integration with Go High Level to make that work. You know, eventually, if I'm not even sure if outbound voice is available in GHL. If it is, then we will likely end up removing assistable AI to keep everything in-house within Google's, GHL's ecosystem, if that's clear. Less integration is better, in my opinion, because there's less things to break. That's why I think it's better, right? All right, hopefully that makes sense. No, I do have CloseBot. I bought CloseBot on a lifetime deal I don't know, 3 years ago. Never used it. It used to be, what was it, High Level Pro Tools or something like that. Zappy Chat, I think it was one thing, and then maybe I think Zappy Chat came out of High Level Pro Tools or something, and then it changed to CloseBot. I've got it. I've never used it. Anyways, I thought GHL agents could not send emails last I checked. Yeah, well, I mean, it's just a workflow that sends the email. You understand? Any agent actions are only either a step within a workflow, or like if an inbound call comes in on a particular number, if I've assigned that number to where the AI voice agent always answers that phone, that number, any calls that are coming in on that phone. So basically, we still build regular workflows within High Level, and there are steps in there that will trigger, you know, an AI assistant of some sort. But usually what it is just on inbound calls, if you go into High Level and you look at the AI employee or whatever it's called in there, and then you go to voice agents, that's where you set all the instructions and the, you know, criteria or parameters or whatever for the voice AI agent. So like the tone, the speed, you know, the temperature, all those kind of things, the prompts themselves, all of that. And that's also where you build in the automations, the triggers and things like that. There are triggers that can, you can update custom fields, etc. during the call. You can wait till after the call for it to update. You can automatically add the contact at the end of a completed call to a workflow. There's a number of things you can do, right? And so we built all of that in the Go High Level now, so that we don't need any external workflow other than the integration with Assistable as I just described. Okay. All right. Hopefully that's clear. But yeah, the agents don't send emails, but the workflow does, right? The agent only intervenes when we don't get a reply from an SMS and or email. So we always attempt whatever communication that we're trying to get, or, you know, any sort of communication with the prospect, we always do via email and SMS first. And if they don't reply after a certain amount of time, if we don't get a response to either of those outreach methods after a certain amount of time, then the outbound voice are triggered. And there's a schedule there. And so basically, like for example, on the listing delivery appointment booking thing. So once the listing is ready, it's been published by my team member. And that's how they add that. My team just tags that contact record in High Level with listing ready. Like, it's ready. You know what I mean? So listing ready. And that automatically adds that contact into the listing delivery appointment booking sequence or workflow. And so we send out the emails and the SMS saying, hey, your listing is ready for review. Please select a time on my calendar for us to review it before, we always want to make sure it's accurate and you're happy with it before we promote it. So pick a time on my calendar. And then that's when, the client, the contact either picks a time and schedules the call, or they reply back that says, well, why do I need a call? Can't you just send me the listing to review it? You know what I mean? Or some variation or iteration of that. And so then we have another of kind of response sequence, responses that are prepared for that. We go through this whole problem, agitate, solution sequence and all of that. But if at any point through that process, they do not respond to text or email, then the voice agent kicks in, and it basically will, it'll look and say, okay, they didn't respond to the emails or the texts that were sent yesterday. So the next day it'll schedule a call for, let's say 9 a.m., right? It'll outbound call. And then if they don't answer the call, the AI agent, there's a record of that. And the AI agent then is scheduled to call 6 hours later at 3 p.m. as for an example. Does that make sense? And the AI agent will call, I think we got it set at 6 times. So 2 times a day, 6 hours apart, every day for 3 days. And if they don't answer the phone and they haven't replied to the SMS or the emails either, by the end of that, whatever that time frame is that we've set as our limit, then that contact automatically just moves into our longer term nurture sequence or nurture automations, if that's clear. I mean, and that still works too. Obviously, we want to try to get the appointment set, but I just mentioned when we first got started on today's Hump Day Hangout that, I live. Can you guys hear me? I feel like I lost everybody for a minute.
Yeah, it went blank for a minute, but I got you.
Are we still live on YouTube?
Yeah, let me take a look.
Okay. I feel like I lost you guys for a minute. So just make sure we're still live on YouTube, man. I think we are. Anyway, I apologize for that, guys. I'm not sure what happened. I think I have one of those Chrome sleep.
Yep, we're good. We're live.
Okay, good. Thank you, Adam. I think I have that extension that sleeps Chrome tabs. This happened on the office hours call earlier today, and I think that's what it is. I think the Chrome tab is going to sleep, and it cuts off the meat. So I got to figure out how to disable that on that one tab. I'll work on that afterwards. Anyway, sorry about that, guys. Let me grab the screen again. So as I was saying, though, what's really interesting is, as I was just mentioning a moment ago, is, I'm not even trying to close clients right now. Right around the first of the year, between Christmas and New Year's, is when I really made the decision that I really wanted to shift my focus away from Tree Care HQ and just really focus on semantic links and white label. But I can't close my Tree Care HQ agency down. I've got too many clients, and so I'm not going to close it down. And I've got a bunch of people in the pipeline. And that's what I was saying. What's crazy is, like I said, I probably only get, from the number of listing delivery sequences that we add contacts to, we probably get about maybe 15% booked calls and show rates. Like, no kidding. It's a very small amount. And I understand why. Tree guys are busy, right? And so they'll book the appointment, blah, 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 but then they don't show up. That happens all the time, guys, all the time. And so depending on how engaged they were with the automated communications prior to the booked call, if they were super engaged, then I'll reach out to them a couple times more manually after the call was missed or the appointment was missed to try to get them back onto a call. If they weren't very engaged between in that kind of automated communication sequence before the booked call, then I don't even bother, because they weren't very engaged to begin with, and then they no-showed. But so I'll just automatically add them to the long-term nurture sequence. And so 85% of the contacts that come through this process go into the long-term nurture sequence. You guys understand that? So it's only 15% roughly that I'm getting any booked calls for that actually show up of the, couple dozen per week that we process. All right, if that's clear. And so it's a small number, but it doesn't matter, because we have that long-term nurture automation there. And that's what I'm saying. Again, around the first of the year, I said, I really don't want to actively try to grow Tree Care HQ anymore, because I want to focus on semantic links. And yet I've closed 3 tree contractors in the last 10 days. And I've got another one on the hook that will either close on Friday or Monday, depending on when I get the data that they're waiting on to them. So it just goes to show you guys that this whole process works. And it's funny, because it's like, I hadn't closed a tree guy in about about 3 weeks prior to this. And then all of a sudden, when I make the decision not to close anymore, well, not to actively pursue Tree Guys, I closed 3 more in that, like, since that time. And it's nuts. And it's just unintended consequence, I suppose. But anyways, that's why I said it still works. AI, the whole kind of automation and everything, it works. And I taught about this at the SEO Rockstars event last weekend in Dallas. And I was talking about that. I was like, you guys, that's why I don't do any pushy sales tactics on the calls, because you guys understand, first of all, nobody likes a pushy salesman, right? Nobody likes a hard close. And that's why I tell the prospect as soon as they get on a call with me, listen, I'm not going to do any hard sales tactics. Just to let you know, I hate it when I get on these calls and I know a hard sales or a hard closing is coming. So I'm not going to do that to you. Is that fair? And I do that. I nod my head all the time on the calls. And then they go, yeah, man, I appreciate that. Or they'll smile, and they'll say, yeah, I hate those calls too. And I'll say, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to show you what we do. I'm going to talk through it. If it makes sense for us to work together, great. Hey, if not, that's no problem. We're going to be here if you ever change your mind. And I say that to them. So I'm never pushy, right? And so we go through the call. I ask them the questions that I ask, go through the presentation of whatever it is that I'm going to show them about their own campaign and the lack of performance of that campaign, et cetera. And then at the end of the call, if it makes sense for me to send them a checkout link, which usually is not the case, but if I do, if we agree on the call that they're ready for something, then I'll send them the checkout link. Most of the time, they're not ready, though, at that point. They want to think about it. They want to talk over with their wife or whatever. It's fine. That's fine. I always tell them, like, hey, no problem. Look, we're going to be here. I'll tell you what, when we get off the call, I'm going to go ahead and plug you into a sequence of emails that are going to kind of follow up and add some more detail about what we talked about today. Is that okay? Can I send you some emails? Nod my head. They go, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I said, okay, and great. And you know what? We're going to be here. We're not going anywhere. I've been working with Tree Guys for 10 years. So anytime you're ready, we're here. It's not pushy at all. You can always schedule a call with me. I'm happy to jump on a call with you, answer any questions when you decide that you're ready to try one of our services. And I leave it at that, guys. And no shit, because of that, it's non-pushy. And that's why I end up sometimes 5 months later, sometimes it's 5 days later, sometimes 5 weeks later, sometimes 5 months later, where I'll get, somebody will call me up or send me an email or a text, and they'll say, hey, I don't know if you remember me, but we talked, blah, blah, blah. And, I'm ready to, I'm ready to find out more about your service, or I'm ready to try some of your services, or whatever it is that they say. And so whenever I get that call or that email or the text message, then I'll shoot them. I'll reply back with something like, positive reply. Hey, thanks. Appreciate you reaching out here. Just select a time on my calendar. There's my booking link, and they'll schedule a call with me on my calendar again, and we jump back on, and then we'll refresh we'll just have a quick chat so that I can become kind of familiar with their situation again. And then, we talk about what's most appropriate for them. Sometimes they ask for suggestions. And then so through that process, I'll analyze. Usually I just have the Bright Local report. I'll refresh all of that. So we'll have the local search grid report, organic rank tracker, citation tracker, et cetera. And just from that report alone, I can then propose to them what I think is the most appropriate for their situation. And again, I've talked about this before. If the client is hesitant to go into a full-on retainer campaign, like a full suite of, local marketing services, which most of them are hesitant to do so because they don't know me yet. They've been burned by other SEO companies, et cetera. So that's why I have front-end services, right? We've got local lead generation sites, Google Business Basic SEO, and reactivation and reviews. And we also have our voice AI answering service, if that's clear. So those are our 4 front-end services. The first 3 are $99 a month each. The last one's $199 a month, $199 a month, if that's clear. So if I'm on a call with a tree contractor and they say that, they're not, like, I can tell that they're not ready to jump into a full-on retainer package at, $1,000 a month or whatever, which a lot of them aren't, then that's when I'll say, listen, you don't know me from Adam yet, or from Jack or whatever, right? You don't know me yet. So I understand your hesitancy. And usually during the conversation, I'll find out that they've been burned by other marketing companies, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. So I say, look, the best thing that we can do right now is improve your reputation. And so, wouldn't you agree that increasing your review count and getting some more reviews will help you to generate more business? And I say, wouldn't you agree? Right? Nod my head. And they usually say, yes, yeah, I would love to improve my reputation, blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. Well, I got this service. It's $99 a month. I send them a text message on the call to the checkout page, and I'll say, go check it out. It's $99 a month. And it's not just a review solicitation service, but it's also a reactivation, meaning if you have a past customer list, if you provide us with the customer list, then we'll upload it into the system that also sends out review requests, and we can do what we call as comeback offers. So essentially we can generate business from your past customers immediately. So you can actually generate revenue from this service, not just for increasing your reputation and your review count, but also you can generate past business. And typically, and by the way, I'll just demonstrate this. So we have reviews.treecarehq.com. This is the checkout page. It's simple for a reason, okay? Because I send this via text to them while I'm on the call. And so here's exactly what I'm talking about. I say the comeback campaign, which is the reactivation, is a where we can generate business from past customers. And so I show them that what we do is we will do 4 times a year if they ask us to. Like we will do this up to 4 times a year at this price. And usually it's at roughly 2 to 4 weeks before the season change is what the seasons change is when I recommend that we send out a comeback offer, right? And so here's an example. The discount funnel, this is created when we deploy a sub account for a client. This is automatically deployed for them, right? And so this is all via short code. So in custom values in their sub account, we just go in and we could say, you know, $50, that's a custom value, right? So we can change that to $50, $100, $200, whatever it is that the client says that they want to offer as a discount. This right here is a short code, right? A custom value, which means we can swap that out with tree removal, stump grinding, arborist consulting, tree health inspections, tree pruning, you know, storm damage cleanup, like anything that we want can go in here, right? So again, then this goes out and via to the customer list that we will then, you know, send. Basically, it's like a newsletter, but it's a newsletter email blast, and it can go out via SMS too, to send the contacts to a landing page. If they decline, if they go through the sequence that when the comeback offers are sent out, the comeback campaign, when it goes out, it's usually an email plus SMS sequence, right? And so it's usually 3 emails and 3 SMSs or some combination, something somewhere around there. Sometimes we customize it a little bit more for clients, et cetera. But if the contact goes into the comeback campaign and they don't respond or they don't take up the offer, like redeem an offer, so to speak, then they automatically at the end of if they don't reply, then they're in a wait step. If they haven't replied or responded through any of those steps or touch points through that automation or that workflow, then when the but you know, there's a wait step at the bottom, so that contact will just be held there until that wait time has passed, which I think is like 7 days or some 5 or 7 days, whatever it is. And then that contact will automatically then be added to another message will go out and say, hey, we understand you weren't interested in the offer that we sent you recently. And that's perfectly acceptable. We understand. However, you were a past customer of ours, which is why we reached out to you to begin with. And would you take a moment to leave us a review? So you understand this is a dual purpose service. It's a reactivation and reviews service. So the reactivation can create an immediate business from past customers. Those that don't respond or redeem the offer then automatically get a review request. Does that make sense? And so again, it's very inexpensive. And that's the reason I lead with this is because, again, I've learned from years of working with tree guys, if I go right into a pitch at, you know, $1,000 a month, SEO, full suite of, you know, marketing services, a lot of them are going to turn me down. How do I know? Because I've done it for years. And when I started offering front-end services where I can then develop a relationship and prove to them that I will deliver as promised, that's what I'm saying. So that's why on a call, if I detect any resistance to any sort of kind of higher level marketing services or retainer plan, et cetera, then I'll just say, hey, listen, you don't know me from Adam yet. I understand that. So let me earn your trust. I'll tell you what, your reputation could use some improvement. Wouldn't you agree? Nod your head. Right? They'll say, yeah, or they might say, oh, I think it's pretty good. Well, and then I'll show them in the local search grid report. You see the top ranked competitors have, you know, many or dozens more reviews than you do. That's part of the reason why they're performing, blah, blah, blah. Well, let's work on this. It's only $99 a month. We can actually generate business immediately from your contact list. So it will pay for the service and allow me to show you that we can deliver as promised. We can produce results. It's only $99 a month. What do you have to lose? And not say, just, you know, is that fair? Nod your head. Is that fair? Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Okay, here's the checkout link. I send it to them via text message. Okay, they check out, we get them up and running. And I don't tell them that we're going to, that this service will improve their performance in local search. I don't tell them that. I promote that we are going to improve their reputation. I don't tell them that. I know that if we get enough reviews coming in, so the review velocity is fast enough, then I know that is going to improve the performance of their GBP, but I don't tell them that. right? I don't tell them that at all until it happens. And once they close, or once I close them on this service, and then sorry, I have to keep switching because I don't want to go to sleep on me again. Once I sell them the service, it's usually about 10 to 14 days before we start the initial outreach campaign, because a lot of the times it takes them a week or so to get their data to me. Then we have to clean and format it and all of that. So, and then we have to get the voice numbers registered because of A2P registration, or toll-free number registration, but A2P is actually faster. So we do all of that through that kind of 10 to 14 day period. And then once we start the campaign, usually within the first 10 to 14 days, so within the first 28 days, from the first time they checked out, we usually get them anywhere between 10 to 30 reviews, depending on what their customer contact list was that they sent to us. Usually, in most cases, anywhere between 10 to 30 reviews within about a 10 to 14 day period is going to show significant improvements in the GBP performance in maps search. And so since we've already run the local search grid report in Bright Local, initially before the sales calls and everything else, we have their starting point. You understand? And so when at the end of the first month from this service alone, as long as we got enough reviews coming in at a fast enough rate, we can typically show significant improvements in GBP performance. And again, I don't pitch that until it happens. And then I refresh the local search grid report. And then I schedule a call with the client right around the month time, right after the first month, right? So right at the start of month 2 is when I will schedule a follow-up call. And when I get them on the call, I show them the local search grid report and say, listen, here's an unintended consequence of properly, and I always say unintended, but it was absolutely intended, to be clear. I always say, here's an unintended consequence of what happens when you get reviews coming in at a higher rate. And I show them, right? I say, you see how much, more exposure you have now than you did a month ago? Well, that will likely be fleeting, meaning it will likely, this result won't last, because you're not going to be able to keep that rate of new reviews coming in at that speed. Like, you understand, it's not going to happen, because we're going to eventually work through your existing contact list, and then the rate of new reviews will slow down to whatever new jobs you close, right? Which will be kind of more of a standard review, a review rate, right? A review collection rate, or whatever you want to call it. Okay. And so that gives me an opportunity, though, to upsell them now. So after 1 month of a $99 service, I can show them significant results. And then that's when I pitch to them, listen, this is likely not going to, last for very long, because the rate with which you are collecting new reviews is going to slow down as we exhaust your contact list, right? I say, so how do we get it to stick? Well, if you had a better optimized site, if your GBP was, your Google Business Profile was optimized better, and you were publishing posts consistently, you were building consistent citations or business directory listings, promoting, doing off-page content marketing like press releases and things like that, things to promote your business. Now that you have a better a better and stronger reputation, wouldn't you like to then now market with that reputation, announce to the world your high ratings, your high star ratings, and your impeccable reputation in your local area? And I use that. And wouldn't you like to, right? Nod your head. And oh yeah, that sounds pretty good, right? Okay, well, listen, here's how we can do it. These are my other services. And that's when I go. So I use the reviews to upsell them on more, a kind of more fuller package, so to speak, right? So because my pitch then to them is like, hey, we were able to achieve these results in a very short order because of the reviews campaign, but it's likely not going to continue or last very long until the foundational elements of your digital presence are proper. And right now they're not. And so this is what I recommend. And so then I go into the pitch of whatever services I think are going to be the most appropriate for them. That's clear. So it's an outstanding service, like process, guys, because it works. It works really well. And I'm telling you, so the client that's waiting on, he's a client, because I was just talking about this. I've got another tree guy that's waiting on me to send him some additional information. He's looking, he wants to open another location, and he was asking me to do competition analysis in the new location. This is a guy that's been on reviews campaign, this exact campaign here, since sometime I think it was in June, May or June of last year is when we started the campaign. And this is all he's on, is this $99 a month. That's that contractor this week. Well, he called me a week ago, sometime last week. And he's like, we've got this other company. Cause I, by the way, I did the exact same thing I just told you guys. Like after the first month, we saw significant improvement in his GBP. I reached out to him. I tried to upsell him on, because he has a website, but it wasn't optimized properly. And I told him, This is likely not going to last. So we went through that whole spiel that I just shared with you guys. And crazy enough, like I said, I got a call from him about a week ago, and he's like, we got a lot of, they were at like 12 reviews when we started, and I think they're like at 130. Like, shit, I'll just show you guys. It's this company right here. It's Woodlawn Trees and Tree Care. And Tree Care right there. You can see it popping up in Newville, right there. That's them, Newville, Pennsylvania. So they're at 106 reviews right now. They were at 12 reviews when we started. And so you can see their website it's optimized terribly. And so I pitched him, a month after we started the reviews campaign. And I told him, hey, look, we can help to keep the performance gains that you gained from the review campaign. If we were to, I said, look, it looks like you had this site built recently. I was like, I'm not going to try to sell you on a new site, but what I would do is provide you, if you, subscribe to one of my additional SEO services, marketing services, I will provide on-page optimization analysis and instructions that you can send to your webmaster to then execute, because your site right now is not optimized properly to maintain these gains that you've made. And I also mentioned about his GBP could be improved, right? And at the time he wasn't ready for it, but he called me like a week ago and said, hey, this is Matt. His name is Matt Schrock. He was like, hey, this is Matt, with Woodlawn Trees. He was like, I'm not really happy with the performance of my website, blah, blah, blah. And I'm paying this company $350 a month. And when he said, I was like, you're paying them $350 a month to what? And he's like, manage my website. And I said, they're not managing it. It's not, you know what I mean? I said, I told you this last year when I reached out, and he was like, yeah, well, I'm trying to look to see like what else we can do. So do you understand what I'm saying, guys? That's why I use this service as a front end service, because even if they have another SEO company, a web design company, whatever, like I can show them better results with this service at $99 a month than a lot of the other companies are charging them, in this case, $350 a month, and not showing them a goddamn result at all. You see what I'm saying? And so that's why I like to lead with that as the front end service, because it's inexpensive. I don't tell them that it's going to improve their exposure. I pitch to them initially, we're going to improve your reputation. And then once your reputation is improved, you can use that in your marketing to generate more business. And that's what I talk about. But then once we show them results, which within the first month we can typically do, as long as they have enough new reviews come in, then that's when I upsell them specifically on those other things. And again, I don't push them. When I had that conversation with this guy a year ago, or, whatever it was, 8 months ago, whatever it was, I told him, like, when I was on the call with him, trying to pitch him on a better website, or at least a full SEO audit, so his webmaster could then optimize it properly. He wasn't ready for it. And I said, hey, no problem. Look, we're going to be here when you are ready. Well, guess what? 6, 8 months later, whatever it was later, he was ready with no additional prompting on my part. He reached out, said, yeah, I'm ready for more services. So, and he's waiting on me now just to finish the competition research for the other location that he's trying to enter. And like I said, I'm going to try to get it done on Friday. So I will likely close this guy on Friday, if not Friday, on Monday. So it's an outstanding service, guys. It works. I encourage you to do it. All right, we got a couple more, and I said I was going to try to get it done fast, and fortunately, I did not. So this one's from Adam. He says, I run a local newsletter. Would there be value in setting up a GBP for it? I'm building out additional assets. Yeah, 100%.
This one's self-serving, but this came from, I was talking with another local newsletter operator, and this was kind of interesting because some of these guys have, products or services, but like for myself, I'm not going that route, and just mostly being online. So I was like, oh, that's Bradley. They had heard of you, and they were like, yeah, like ask him. So anyways, wanted to see what your thoughts were on this.
Okay. Anytime you have any sort of business period, like I used to have a directory for Tree Care, or excuse me, a GBP for Tree Care HQ, but it got suspended when I started creating local like tree service lead generation sites under the Tree Care brand. I should have never done that. I should have never done that. And so it suspended my marketing agency GBP for Tree Care HQ, although I kept all my tree service Tree Care HQ GBPs, which is nuts. And anyway, long story short, anytime you have the ability to create a GBP for a campaign, do it, because it's an entity validator. In other words, you are verifying the brand within Google through that verification process. That's, again, literally, think about it. You have to go through a video verification process like 90% of the time now. So you're validating that a real valid business works at that business location. Well, that is it's an authority builder within Google for that brand. So even if you're running a local newsletter where you're not actually, customers aren't coming to a location or anything else, I would still, if you have the ability to create a GBP, do it. It will help the the local newsletter will perform better in its own local area if it has a GBP attached to it. Okay. 100%.
Yeah, I was thinking too, mostly a lot of the branding side of things. I mean, there's the SEO play too, like getting, if you have an associated website, getting that backlink, but also then probably the branding side of things and being seen as more legitimate as you grow the brand.
Yeah. And you can also collect reviews, right? So you can get reviews from businesses that are advertising or that are posting on your newsletter, your local newsletter. You can get them, you can reach out to them and say, hey, would you mind leaving us a review for our newsletter on our Google Business Profile? All of that kind of stuff is important. So
nice.
Okay, Roy says, hey, Bradley, one on last week's live, you talked about that by assigning an author profile to a piece of content that's 100% AI generated with no human editing can bypass the AI filters. Well, I mean, it depends on, I'm not saying just pure AI slop. Like, we try to use AI prompts that are, in data packs or in, system instructions, whatever you want to call it, that are specifically so that we're not just generating kind of generic AI slop content, right? It's content that is very well thought out, AI generated, yes, but it's through a, either one very detailed prompt or a sequence of prompts, which is, I found it to be better to try to not one shot everything, but instead we do an initial draft, and then we have a kind of a revision agent that will then look at that content and revise it, like critique it and revise it. And we have a polish agent, which was like the final draft agent, things like that. So I found it better that way. So when we output the content, yeah, it was AI generated, but it's not like a one-shot generic AI type of output, like a lot of content that I see online. So to add a little bit more clarity or more context to what I was saying was, we are still using AI generated content, but just by plugging or assigning authorship, meaning basically stating that assigning an author, like a person, a subject matter expert, especially that basically claims that they authored the content. They're not authoring the content. We are via AI, but we are assigning them as the author to it. That helps it to just perform significantly better. Now, I've not tested just pure AI slop with that method because we don't just publish that anyway. And I'm not saying that that's what you do, Roy, but I just want to make sure that there's some more context added to that response so that everybody understands that I'm not saying you can just run shitty content out of a generic chat GPT. Write me an article on tree care. Like, that's it. If that's all you do and the output and you assign authorship to that, it's likely not going to perform. But we do a lot more of a kind of a thorough process for developing content so that it is on point. It is in the brand's voice, right? It is localized for that specific area. All of that is done in the initial kind of prompting and drafting side of things. And then when we publish the content, it is content in the brand's voice that is optimized for their service area, so to speak. And the author has now been assigned as the author, and that tends to perform significantly better than if we were to take that same piece of content and omit authorship, which we've done for years, right? We published content for clients for years, and there was never a real author behind any of it, right? It was just the brand published it. But you still want it to be branded content, but you want somebody that is a subject matter expert that works at the company, whether it's the founder, an executive, an employee, it doesn't matter. It's a brand ambassador or a spokesperson that works at the company, that's a verifiable real person that has credentials, that works at that organization. That's what makes them a subject matter expert. You assign content that the agency is producing on the client's behalf, but you assign a subject matter expert as the author. It will improve the performance of that content. Okay, that's what I'm saying. The context of lead generation website, how do we actually assign an author profile to the website content that's AI generated? Find somebody that you can partner with, that you could use, that is in that industry. So for example, in my business, the tree service industry, if you've got a bunch like lead gen assets, well, first of all, I've been working in this industry long enough. I can author content likely and still as Bradley Benner for tree service contractors. No kidding. And it would likely perform better. Google and understands that I've been working in the tree service industry for years, right? So even though I'm not an arborist, I could probably write on behalf of tree care contractors, and it would still pass. This filtering process that I'm talking about. But for example, I could just go to one of my clients and say, like, listen, to an arborist especially, to say, listen, I've got a number of lead gen assets that I use in other markets that are not non-competing with you. And what I found is that everything performs better because that client, I promise you, I'm already doing that for them. So I would just ask them, would you mind? They might want to cut. They might want, I might have to negotiate 5% or 10% or something in order to use their name. But just think about it. Be creative, man. You know what I mean? Like, here's the thing. If you've got lead gen assets out there that aren't producing a lot of revenue because they're not performing well, then what difference does it make if you then go do a revenue split, even if it's small, like 10%, 5% of any revenue generated from leads that you sell from lead gen assets that you assign a subject matter expert as an author with their permission, right? Now, all of a sudden you've got GPPs out there that are producing leads and producing a significantly more revenue. So who cares if you got to pay a small portion? They weren't performing before or not as well. Now they're performing better, generating a lot more revenue. So you're still out ahead. That makes sense. So again, just be creative, guys. Go talk to one of your subject matter experts in that industry that you already have a relationship with. Ask them, can I use your on those assets? And if they negotiate with you, so be it. Give something up, right? Barter, give them more marketing services, reduce their retainer or do it for free for them, right? Do their marketing for free so that you can use their likeness on all the articles that you're publishing or, content that you're publishing on your lead gen assets. Right? There's a number of ways you can work it out. The beautiful thing, guys, you can just create the arrangement. As long as all parties agree, you're off to the races. See what I'm saying? For example, how do we actually assign an author profile to the homepage content, service page content? Well, you can do that in Schema, right? You can do that in Schema. You can also do it in the metadata where you assign the author of that page, right? So you do all of that there. Blog posts, by the way, you can insert an author box on pages. Who says you can't have an author box on service pages, right? I know it's usually reserved for blog posts, but who says you can't put it on a service page? You can. It's not going to hurt anything, but you can also do it via Schema, and you can also do it via metadata. I do it both anyway. You get what I'm saying? Okay. And by the way, you don't need an author on About Us page or Contact Us page. You don't need that. We're talking about content that you want to rank in search. Does that make sense? You don't want to put authorship on all pages like privacy policy page and shit like that. That doesn't make any sense. Only top level pages that you want to rank in search, right? So that's hopefully that's clear. Again, all the other like non-essential pages is what I call those other pages. You don't need to worry about that. Just on essential pages only. Okay. All right. Hopefully that makes sense, guys. One more question. Josh says, if one joins the entry level tier of the mastermind, do they get access to the content and local ops SEO blueprint as well? Bingo. I already mentioned if you guys join the mastermind, everything is opened up. So everything. All right. Any comments that I need to address, or are we done for the day? Might just be me. There's a number of comments, so I'm going to look at those now, guys. I think I dropped the screen. Yeah, I did. That's fine. You guys don't need to see that. All right, I'm going to run through these comments, guys, and then we're going to wrap up for the day. So not too many, which is good. I see Blair Witowski. What's up, Blair? He says, Bradley, is putting the client link in the footer of the expired domains still a good option? I'm not sure I understand. Is putting the client link in the footer of the expired domains still a good option? I'm doing Claude AI backlink scan. It said it was spammy. 75 CTR sites done this way. Yeah, I don't remember putting the client link in the footer of the expired domain. I don't remember ever saying to do that. That's a site-wide link. I don't do that anywhere. So I'm not sure I understand where that's coming from. If I'm building a CTRFI site, which is a blog, I'm not going to assign the entire blog to a client. So why would there be a footer link to a client site? Does that make sense? Like if you were going to so I just don't understand the question or why. And again, I'm not picking on you, Blair. I just don't understand the question. If you're building sites for link building purposes, you would have a link within a post on that site. That's it. That's a contextual link within one post, right? You wouldn't even use the same source or referring domain to link multiple times to the target because that has diminishing returns. We try to keep one link only per referring domain to the target, if that's clear. So I'm not sure I understand the question. I don't do site-wide links ever. So I'm not sure I understand that. If you can clarify that, I'll try to answer. Adam Patel, what's up, buddy? He says, sorry, I can't get this goddamn thing out of the way. God damn it, get out of the way. Hold on, guys. I got to refresh this page. All right. Next one. Adam says you're good. Okay. Local ops is included with either mastermind level. Thank you, Chris. All SOPs are included. Thank you, Chris. Can you go over your nurture sequences? I'm booking a shit ton of meetings and close a decent amount on the calls, but it's not a one call close. They don't reach back out. But if it's not a one call close, they don't reach back out. Yeah. So, no, I'm not going to share my nurture sequence, but I can go briefly over the kind of cadence of it. Right. So I've been doing a newsletter, a bi-weekly newsletter every 2 weeks for 3 years now. Okay. So every 2 weeks, all contacts are getting an email newsletter unless they unsubscribe. So that's at the bare minimum, that's what all contacts are getting. But after they've gone through the delivery, listing delivery sequence, and if they don't book a call, or even if they book the call, and they no show, or even if they show on the call, but then they ghost me afterwards, right? In any one of those cases, depending on how engaged they were up until they dropped off, right, fell off, that will determine which other nurture sequences I put them in. So if they were fully engaged in the automated communication sequence up to the sales call, so the booked appointment, right, which is the listing delivery call, also the start of the sales conversation. If they were fully engaged all the way up until that point, and then they show up to or they don't show to the call, then I will plug them into a kind of more personalized, more aggressive follow-up nurture sequence, which includes, again, email, not just the newsletter emails, but straight emails to them, as well as also social media outreach. So like Facebook page posts, or reaching out to them via Facebook as a messenger, but on their page, their Facebook page, if that's clear. If they're on LinkedIn, we'll contact them on LinkedIn too, but most tree guys aren't on LinkedIn. It's only a very small few of them that are. But we also have the SMS, and then again, outbound voice. But there's, depending again on their engagement level up until the point that they ghosted us. If they weren't very engaged, they just go into the long-term nurture sequence, because I'm not going to waste any additional effort on them. But if they were more engaged, they go into kind of more aggressive nurture sequence. And so we have a number of kind of nurture sequences depending on the temperature of that lead, if that's clear. Okay, hopefully that's clear. All right. But again, you guys use social media. That's what I'm saying. Like, in addition to SMS, text, and voice, use social media for follow-ups as well. Facebook page, LinkedIn. If they're on X, hit them on X. If they're on Instagram, I'm not on Instagram, so I don't even mess with that. A lot of the younger people are on TikTok, right? So fuck with them on TikTok, whatever. That, again, I think contacting like more touch points across more channels is more effective, especially when you're looking to kind of re-engage a ghosted contact. Okay. Do you just follow up with them until they buy or block you? Yeah. You ever watched The Wolf of Wall Street? Right. You stay on the phone with them until they buy or you fucking die. Right. So that's it. Like they're on their nurture sequences until they tell us to piss off. Like, that's it. We're going to keep following up with them until they tell us to stop. Right. Or they blacklist us. Why? I mean, guys, I don't know these people. I don't care. Like, I'm not trying to hurt. I'm trying to help them. I'm not trying to piss them off, but if they are pissed off, so be it. They can unsubscribe. No problem. Also, what are your thoughts on doing a video listing overview and GBP audit for contacts that make it through the sequences but hesitate to book a call? I've talked about this before. That's what I will do on the sales call. Like if they book a meeting with me, but they don't show, which happens a lot, then if they were engaged, like fully engaged up until that booked sales appointment, then I already have that 30 minutes blocked off in my calendar, and I'm in the meeting waiting for them. And so what I'll do is I'll set at 5 minutes after the meeting starts, if they're not in the meeting by then, I send them an SMS text message. Hey, I'm waiting in the Google Meet. Well, I used to say Zoom, but now it's Google Meet. I'm waiting in the Google Meet room. Where are you? Please join me here. And I send them the link. And if they reply back, or if they don't, and a lot of times they don't reply back, but if they do reply back, or at least not, sometimes they'll reply back immediately. Sometimes it might be a half an hour later or whatever. But if they were fully engaged up until that point, then I will jump on, because I've still got that time blocked off in my calendar. Then, like, again, usually between the 5-minute mark and the 10-minute mark, if they reply back, then I'll go ahead and use the remaining 20 minutes to just fire up a screen. So I've already got everything open in my browser, like the different tabs with their reports, their directory lists, or their right local reports, their directory listing, their Google Business Profile, their website. I have all of those open in tabs already, because I was preparing for the calls. That makes sense. So it's already there. So if between the 5-minute mark when I send them an SMS and the 10-minute mark, if they respond, then I'm going to go ahead and spend the next 20 minutes recording a video and basically going through the same pitch that I would have done with them on the call anyways, just without their input. You get what I mean? If they don't reply, then it depends on my feeling at that time. Like if they don't reply within that 5-minute window, if I feel like they were, depending on my gut feeling, I will still do that video review right there because I've already got everything open, right? I'm there, ready to go. So why waste the time? If they weren't very engaged, then I usually won't do anything but just send them an email afterwards and say, hey, you missed the call. And then, by the way, I put them into a rebook sequence. It's like a three-day sequence that goes out and tries to get them to reschedule. Look, and it says, I understand you're a tree professional. You probably got caught up on another job, blah, blah, blah. It happens all the time. No problem. Please book a call again. And I go through that again. And if they don't go from there, then I just send it. They just go into the long-term nurture sequence. If that's clear. Okay. But yeah, I've actually closed a number of clients by just sending them that follow-up email with the video. By the way, that's how I started all of this. I used to do that every time. I'd get a positive reply from a contact. I would record a separate video for them. Instead of getting on calls with them, I would just send a video email because I wanted to avoid calls back then. I've learned over the years not to do that. And there was a lot of wasted effort recording videos that never got opened or seen. So I got over that. Now I won't do that unless I feel like there's enough engagement from that contact to warrant the effort, if that's clear. Okay. All right, guys, I got to wrap up. Thanks everybody for being here. We'll see everybody next week. Appreciate you guys.